Hello, and welcome to another live stream of me painting the fireflies still and again. It's been a while, and we are slowly getting through them. It's been at least 6 live streams so far. I don't know, but we will get through some more of these today. We'll probably not finish them at all. Whilst everyone gathers in, I can talk about some of the upcoming stuff on the channel. I've got I've done the silly thing of starting too many projects, so I've got quite a few possible videos coming in the next few weeks. I do have some more discussion type videos, which is what we spoke about in the community tab. I've got a discussion about order dice, I've got a discussion about rift dice, I've got a discussion about air observers and artillery observers in Konflikt 47 specifically. I've also got some painting videos of some of the vehicles that I painted, that I've acquired in the Spruce Bet sale. I've still got to finish those off. There's other stuff on my desk as well that's halfway done. I've got some terrain on the way actually. Something that I started filming quite a while ago, but that's not actually finished yet. So I can't necessarily tell you that video is coming soon, but progress has been made. Very small amount of progress has been made on that video. But for today, we just have some fireflies to do. So here is our test model firefly that we did. This is basically how they're going to all end up at the end. And we've got quite a bit of work to do to get there on the 20 something others in the box. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pick a paint. Grab my painting handle. This guy. Let's get comfortable. Where's good position? That's about right. Let's get some focus. Focus, people, focus. There we go. Alright, should be able to see him fairly clearly. Be perfect, but it's fairly good. Yuli, hello. Hey man, congrats on the new vid. We're liking the fireflies you painted today. Jumping in and out. Yep, fair enough. Absolutely okay. Yeah, I really like the concept of that one. I think I want to call him S for Shibito. It's either Z for zombie or S for Shibito. Kind of following on the naming convention of B for Bertie. Good grief, what's happened to that brush? That poor thing. I really need to clean my brushes out at some point. That one. Well, it doesn't seem to be... A lot of people talk about maintenance of brushes, and I just don't think it applies to the brushes that I use in a kind of an odd way. And it might just be that I'm generally looking after brushes as I paint. But these particular brushes, and I know this happens with others, but I think it's just more pronounced with these, is that the bristles break away, like they physically break away and get shorter. So if I grab some of the other ones, these are all exactly the same brush. They all started off at the same length, and yeah, you can see there. That's a relatively new one on the left and one of my oldest ones on the right. There is no way that this one, no matter how, you can't clean it to sort that out. Because you can clean that till the end of time and it won't come to a point because the point of the bristles isn't actually physically on the brush anymore. And so when I get to this level, cleaning a brush actually isn't an issue anymore because it's never going to be a sharp brush. And so you can actually see in this case, this has kind of been beaten around a bit. And I use this for stippling, I use this for dry brushing, kind of very small bits of dry brushing. I use this for techniques where an old beaten up brush is exactly the order of the day. And that means that I can keep my nicer brushes like this one, which actually has already lost its point. You can just about see there, it's kind of rounded off at the end. I've got this one as well, which is not quite as new, so it's got a little bit taken off the end. But you can see even at this point, they look the right shape. They are coming to that point. They just don't have the very tip of the point because it's been broken away. Yuli says, S for Shibito feels more in universe. But solid idea either way. I appreciate the daughter of the zombie land. Yes. I actually have a few daughters of the motherland in my squad of them that are made in the same way as the zombie one. Warlord Games made a well, it's actually Project Z. We're talking about zombies, so it's appropriate. But the old Project Z game had some I think it was the survivors female sprue, so women with various weaponry defending themselves against zombies, and some of them have AKs, and that was perfect. So all I needed to do was print a body with a suitable type of cloak and the hammer and sickle on the on an armor plate for the chest, and then I used the Warlord Games head and the arms and the weapon, and yeah, very simple conversion to do. And then for the zombie version, it had some War Games Atlantic parts as well. I am hoping at some point that we get a plastic sprue of the Daughters of the Motherland relatively soon. I'm sure they'll come eventually. It's just one of my favorites. Although, given that I have 14 of them already, I'm not sure how many more I would actually warrant using. I've heard rumours that Warlord Games are sending out the mystery boxes. So that will be... Hello, Andre, how are you doing? Oh, we have a breakage. It's come away from the base. Oh no. That's no drama. I just have to... all of this is plastic. So just some poly cement will fix that. Although that said, I am now stuck here for several moments while we wait for the cement to dry. Whilst that happens, as both Andre and Yulia are in chat, thank you both for posting comments on my community post recently. I did read them. Andre, you asked for Moonstone, and I do have one particular Moonstone model that I really want to get around to painting. It's kind of it is top of my list of models that I want to spend time on. I spend a lot of my painting time like batch painting infantry squads, like the Fireflies, or building like big things and vehicles and stuff. But every now and again, I do like focus on a single model. I do like to do that whenever I can, and there is a Moonstone model that's first on that list. Yuli, you posted quite a few ideas, and I like most of them. In fact, I think I liked all of them. One of them in particular I thought was quite interesting. The coming up with kit bash ideas for semi-mundane squads for Konflikt 47. I think you might actually find that some nations already have the options. Because if we think about what we're really talking about there, it's a regular, normal human, no genetic upgrades, no superpower armor, nothing like that, and just a rift weapon. So probably a veteran infantry squad with then a rift weapon. And the Japanese actually have that just directly already in their list. It's the Shibori rifle squad. Now, I made the Shibori rifle squad with Ashigaru models because a lot of the stuff in the Japanese is samurai themed. I thought, Samurai and Ashigaru are the classic pairing, and so having Ashigaru as the regular infantry made a lot of sense. The British also kind of have an option already in the Grenadiers. So the Grenadiers, as standard, are not even a Rift unit. They don't get a Rift die as standard. They're a veteran squad with assault rifles. They're a really ugly version of the EM2, unfortunately. I do hope that if we get a new models for the Grenadiers, we get some like better EM2s, because those ones, yikes, they do not look good at all. Yuli says, if I had more hobby time, I would paint the Night Goblin from Moonstone. Yeah, that's a nice one. All in good time. Once again, thanks for the tryout. Enjoyed it a lot. It was nice talking to you in person. Yeah, more than welcome. So, Andre and me got together for some tabletop simulator. Actually, in fact, as we're talking about videos that I have on the works, there's 2 videos involving Tabletop Simulator that I need to get on with. I do want to get R1 out before the Bolt Action computer game comes out. Although it might actually be worth comparing that game to Tabletop Simulator. Because the thing with Tabletop Simulator is that it's designed so that you can play any game, any tabletop game. You can emulate that within the computer version of it. But that means that whilst it can do any game, it does none of them very well. Whereas the bolt action game is probably going to do bolt action better than Tabletop Simulator, but will obviously not be able to play any other game. So that is the trade-off there. I think it will come down to as to which one you play. I think it will come back down to how good is the bolt action computer game in single player. Because if it's not good in single player, it's not going to get enough people playing it. And if there's not enough people playing it, then you won't be able to find an opponent to play with online. Whereas if it's good single player, it'll get more popular. It'll spread around not just the bolt action groups, but in other World War II fan groups and fan groups, you know what I mean, historical groups, but also just general gamers will start to pick it up. And then we'll get opponents, but if it doesn't pick up, then we'll revert back to Tabletop Sim, because a lot of people have Tabletop Sim. Yuli says, sorry, don't mean to spam. Hope all factions get cool basic infantry. You're not spamming in the slightest. Go right ahead. the chat box is there to chat. That's what it's for. Yeah, I was just going through my thoughts, because I had been thinking about your comment. So we talked about the Shiboru Rifle Squad, which there is an official set for. Talked about the British Grenadiers, who natively aren't a Rift unit at all. They're just veterans with assault rifles, but they do get the option of heavy Tesla rifles, so they can get a Rift die. Keep shuffling out of camera, so I'm going to move that to there. Maybe that'll help. How's this guy doing? Not well. I don't know why this isn't sticking. So the other option that I was thinking of for all nations actually is you can either go 1950s, like slightly into the future from World War II, which is where the Grenadiers are, and kind of where the Shiboru are, sort of, in a way. Or you can go very historic, which is where the Ashigaru are. And so, if we look at the other nations and think, what's the 1950s option and what's the historic option? So things like, oh yeah, and another option I had. This is how my brain works. I piece things together. When I eventually get to the point of having a coherent video, I've got a nice script laid out. So you're hearing my very ramblings today. So the Americans, I think, do actually have a very easy way of making a squad like what we're discussing. And that's actually with the Fireflies, just these guys. If you don't put the repulsor pack on, their backs are sculpted with just some webbing. And so you can put on some webbing, a rucksack or some other pouches and things from any other American infantry sprue. I think you probably wouldn't put the shoulder pad on either, but that's not an issue either. And then what you're left with is relatively cool poses of American soldiers and with Tesla submachine guns, the Tesla Thompson. I think you could literally just do that much. The OG draft. Yeah. So, what are the other options? For the Soviets. So there are various Cold War sets for Soviet models. So that would be relatively easy to do. There's even some more modern stuff as well, going even into the modern day kind of thing. So that's very easy to do. But for more historical stuff, you might go for partisans. So Wargames Atlantic makes a partisan sprue. If you gave them some rift weapons of some description, that would work quite well. Yuli says, really like the Firefly idea. Why no shoulder pad? Because the shoulder pad is it? Okay, I was about to say that the shoulder pad is specific to the Firefly unit. It's like an insignia for them. But actually, I think Roberta Wells... Yeah, so the Roberta Wells on foot also has it, even though she's not the Firefly version. Firefly version has it as well. So actually, yeah, you probably would include... So I'll change my mind on that. You would include the shoulder pad. Good point. I thought that was part of the kind of the Firefly's uniform, but yeah, if Roberta has it, then that's not true. I mean, I think for any nation, if you look at Cold War models, you will get something probably somewhere. For the Germans, we could do like Teutonic Knights. Perry Miniatures has a good set of medieval knights that we could use for that. There's also, if you go even further back, you could have the Germanic tribes and barbarians kind of thing. Victrix. Victrix makes some good stuff like that in 28mm. And who are we missing? Who have I said? Soviet, American, British, Japan, and Axis. Yeah, we've done everyone. I guess we could talk about Italy. Italy would be fun because you just use some Romans. Romans, definitely. Yuli says, when you say Soviet sets, do you mean plastic or 3D? Either. The material doesn't necessarily matter. I was just saying that Cold War Soviet Union, there is stuff out there. Do Rubicon sell Cold War Soviets? I think they do, like infantry. I think Rubicon have actually dropped out of infantry and they're basically sticking with vehicles now. I don't know if that's true. I've been trying to get hold of their heavy weapons team. I want American M2 and a Soviet Dushka. Also, I want models of them. I love a Dushka. Chunk, 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 chunk. Yeah, good fun. Yudi says, partisan idea with captured rift weapons is a solid idea. Been using that Wargames Atlantic set to represent a militia. Really like your idea too, just need the rules from Warlords. Yeah. I think I missed a comment somewhere. I thought I half read something and now I can't find it. If I missed a comment, I apologise. I shall have a look in a moment. Yeah, Italians would be fairly easy. You'd use I would want to use the segmentatum armor, so the Lorica segmentatum, because that's just the style that I associate most with the Romans, and it's very I can't remember. I can't think of the right word. Like, it's only the Romans that use anything like the Lorica segmentatum, whereas a lot of Romans also were using chainmail, but everyone used chainmail for hundreds and hundreds of years. So that's not really Roman specific. I do have a sprue of Roman auxilia, I think they are, and they have chainmail, which is a shame. Although that just goes back to me wanting to make Italian style trooping. I want to make a couple of extra torsos to use up all the spare Stahltruppen parts, but with use the same legs and arms, but you would use like a 3D printed torso for the Stahltruppen, because that's the part that's missing. And with that, you would use what I wanted to do. Sorry, what I had intended to do, what I would like to have done, is make a Lorica segmentatum styled Stahltruppen torso, so that you could make Italian Stahltruppen. It does require doesn't necessarily require, but I would like also to have the plume on their helmet, because that's also fairly iconic of the Romans. But that actually changed quite drastically over the time periods, so I would have to work out like what time periods did the segmentatum armor, when was that being used, and what helmet plumes were they using during that time. It doesn't have to be perfectly historically accurate. Just something that's vaguely along the correct lines. You all know that I'm not a stickler for perfect historical accuracy in the models, because I think that is a fool's errand. But at least a little nod to trying to get it right helps. Rubicon has some Soviet and Vietnamese infantry. Ah, yeah, I remember the Vietnamese. I know it doesn't bother you, but their scale is noticeably different from Warlord. I think they're more. I think they're 28mm still, but they're more true scale. Isn't that right? So they would appear thinner in comparison to, especially compared to the Fireflies that are even bigger still. And Yuli says, yeah, Dushka is awesome. We need a plastic kit from Warlord or Rubicon. Tired of having to strip it off of vehicles. Warlord makes us RP that stolen Rift Tech. Yeah. Absolutely. Speaking of... I forgot your Thompson. There is a Dushka somewhere on Thingiverse, I think. I shall have to send you a link to that. Because that's the one that I've been using at the moment. Yeah, I can't remember exactly what it is off the top of my head, but I'll see if I can find it for you. It's a Dushka on the old like two-wheeled trailer thing, the little one, like the infantry version, and it has a folded version and an extended version, and then the gun shield is a separate piece. And I printed a few of those for myself and some others in my local group. We very much like having heavy machine guns in Konflikt 47. 6 shots at pen 1 is a nice thing. Andre says, thinking about buying the... Messed up, we'll try again. Thinking about buying the Bolt Action starter box. Some of the start boxes are really good. Is there any specific one you're looking at? I know one of them has way less infantry models in them than the others. I think the Gentleman's War has a 222 and a Humber. And given that I've just built a 222 and a Humber, I can say that they're both pretty nice kits. Not without their flaws, but really nice. The is it the Battle of the Bulge that has a 251 and a M3? Because those aren't Rubicon kits, those two vehicles, so they are a different style. They are kind of slightly less detailed, but just really solid, which is exactly the kind of thing you want for a wargaming kit. You want something that's going to last forever. Yuli says, Rubicon is more true scale and they're consistent between vehicle drivers and infantry. I think if you're starting from scratch, Rubicon would be the way to go, but they're really hard to get. Yeah, Rubicon, I mean, if just go onto the Rubicon Facebook page and see what the comments are, and 90% of the comments are, I really love your stuff, but when is XYZ model coming back in stock? I think I'm just not going to buy from Rubicon directly, and I'm not going to buy from like online sellers where there's a chance that I get a message saying, oh, it's out of stock, but we'll let you know when it's in stock, and we're going to keep your money until it arrives. I'll buy if I see a Rubicon model on a shelf physically in person, I'll absolutely buy it because they're good quality kits. They definitely are. But they just can't keep their production consistent. And I'm wondering if it is because they're just that successful that they can't keep up, or whether it is just that they're not very good at this kind of thing. And I shouldn't really comment on that because I don't know which way around that would be. But the kits are good. Rubicon kits are good. Don't know the specific name. Andre says, don't know the specific name. It's 3rd edition and stands up like a cereal box. Americans and Germans. Stands up like a cereal box. I'm very confused as to what you mean by that. I'm just going to grab the Warlord Games website and see if I can work out what you mean. That's just going to take forever to load. Oh, yeah, by the way, I want that one. Definitely want that one. That's the Japanese character for Konflikt 47. Right, starter sets. So we've got Gentleman's War, which is Brits and Germans. We've got the introductory set, which is Americans and Germans. Is this the one you mean? Because that's not really a starter set in the traditional sense. This is an introductory. This is an introduction to wargaming. So if you've never played a wargame before, this is great because it gives you, it's like 12 models for each side, and it gives you a little cardboard vehicle that you can play with as well. It's got just enough stuff to actually start playing, but it doesn't really have enough stuff to actually like get into the game. So Andre says yes, yeah. So if you've never played a war game and if you just want a little bit of stuff to play around with, it is a good set, and it's definitely worth the money because it is very well priced for what's in there. But if you actually do want to get into bolt action properly, I would tend to kind of suggest to skip that, because it doesn't include the rulebook, so you have to buy the rulebook. It doesn't include enough models to play, so you will need to buy new models. And it doesn't have enough order dice and rift dice. There's no rift dice. It doesn't have enough order dice because I think it's 3 for each side. So it's just got enough order dice for literally. For the Germans, it'll be the vehicle and 2 squads, and for the Americans, it'll be a bazooka team and 2 squads, and that's it. So you will have. So if you get into bolt action proper afterwards, you'll even have to buy rift dice. Order dice, not rift dice. Sorry, I've been writing a script on rift dice, so there is that. Yeah, if you just want a little something to play around with, build some models, it is definitely good for what it is. Yes, open to suggestions. Okay. I'm thinking maybe one of the other ones, they're going to be more expensive, but they'll include the rule book, which means that you then don't have to go out and buy more and more stuff to actually get stuck into playing. But I think so here's the out of focus. There we go. This is the Battle of the Bulge. No, this is Band of Brothers starter set. You get 12 infantry for each side, so it's actually the same as the other set. You get plastic vehicles. So in the introductory set, you just get 1 cardboard vehicle. You're now getting 2 plastic vehicles, so that's quite a bit better. You get a bit of terrain, which is good fun, but you get the rule book in there as well, and you get more order dice, and you get the pin markers, which you don't get in the introductory set. And the other option is then the British Axis in the desert. Can't see that. Oh, yeah, white background, so it's not looking good. That's the same price as the other one, the Band of Brothers one, but instead of being the transport vehicles, you've got armoured cars. Both of these very nice kits, and you get the rulebook in them, and you get a little bit of terrain. I think that's actually Sarissa Precision terrain. Ruined North African House MDF terrain. It might be... Okay, it might not be Sarissa Precision, because usually they say it is, if it is. I mean, realistically, any of the starter sets are good for what they're good for, right? I just think that the introductory set is kind of more specific. It's a bit more niche in what it does, and it is for people who have never played a war game before. So if that fits you, absolutely go for it. I did buy it for myself, even though I have very much played war games before. I even been playing Bot Action for years before I bought it. But I only bought it because I wanted the cardboard Hanamag. And I'm trying to convince people to buy the Konflikt 47 equivalent, because that comes with a cardboard Vogelspinner and linebacker. It comes with both of them. How much is the rulebook? Let's check on that. Because if you were to buy the introductory set and then just buy the rulebook on top of that, how much is that compared to I'm just going to finish painting this and then I'll check up on it. Was there something else on this Roberta I needed to do gold? There was. Right, we're done with gold now. There we go. Right, gold is done. So what is... there we go. We could do shoulder pad. Could do the boots. I think we need to do the shoulder pad. We need to do the red and blue next. Andre says, thanks, look into those. Seen enough war games on YouTube to get the gist. Skip the basic box. The others are about 90 euros. Okay. I just want to compare the introductory set with the rulebook. Like, the one that doesn't come with the rulebook, plus buying the rulebook as well, versus the starter sets that do have the rulebook. Bear in mind, if this matters to you, it might not matter, but the rulebook that comes with the starter sets are A5 and paperback, so they're smaller ones, whereas the ones that come, the book that you buy separately is A4 and hardback, so it's a much heavier duty, nicer book, if that matters to you. In theory, if I just go to bolt action, the rulebook will be at the top, and it is. So the rulebook's 38, and the proper starter sets are 95. And how much was the introductory set? Uh, 38. And we need to remind me of 38. And 42. So 38 and 42 is 80. So actually, that's 82 pounds. Sorry, 80 pounds and 50 pence. So it is slightly cheaper to buy the introductory set and then separately buy the rulebook. The starter sets do come with a few other little things like the order dice and the terrain, which might matter. That is not the paint I wanted. Where's my blue? There it is. I need to buy some more of this blue. This poor blue is running out. Right, so, not you. Where's my... I just had him a second ago. There he is. So blue is only the stripe in the middle, and then red is only those two, and white is only those two. Got it. Oh, this poor blue paint has so little life left in it. This does happen to be the same blue that my entire Japanese force is painted with. So hopefully they don't clash. Andre says, look at the exchange rates in euros and it evens out. £82 is about 95 euros. But bear in mind, each product will also be that price difference, or that ratio difference. But also you'll be paying for shipping costs because it is coming from England. But you may also get a retailer's discount. Wall of Games generally does wholesale quite a bit less than the retail, so that the retailers can choose to either sell it at the same price or slightly cheaper. My local shop, for example, gets 10% off of all Warlord Games products. Or rather, he sells at 10%, so I buy it from him with 10% off. So you might see that the shop or wherever you're buying from is getting a similar kind of thing. So check the price of each set before you kind of lock in on that. Some of these steps are just really quick. The green, when I get to doing the green, that's going to take forever. But everything else is quick. Andre says, seen Band of Brothers for €93. Yep, if that is a reasonable price for you. Obviously, I can't say kind of how much you should be spending on toy soldiers. That's up to you. But that seems a reasonable price. I would say 93 would be something like £80. Yeah, that's that kind of 10% discount, or roughly that. So actually, that's not too bad, because I was expecting it to be a little bit more expensive, because you are kind of having it shipped from England out to you. I know a lot of the guys in America complain because all the Warlord game stuff is like, it's like 15 or 20% more just from the shipping costs. And the poor guys in Australia, whenever this gets mentioned, there's always someone from Australia crying in the corner going, ah. Because yeah, their import costs for everything suck. I'm trying not to get a perfectly consistent coat with this blue, because I have already painted the wash on these models. So I'm not darkening these down after this. So I'm just leaving little like inconsistent patches where the grey underneath is showing through. And it is kind of working. It is quite bright. Like, even on this guy, you can see that. That red, white, and blue is quite bright compared to the rest of the model. And I think that actually suits it. I think I did actually paint white. Yeah, I must have done, because that is a lot brighter than the grey. So I must have done white over the top of the white parts, because on these it's just the grey and then the wash, so they're actually relatively dark. Noticed something about this one. Because he didn't come with a shoulder pad, I've used a 3D printed shoulder pad, and it has a different number of stripes on it. That'll be fine. So one thing about the Roberta models is they have shoulder pad on each shoulder, whereas the Fireflies only have it on one shoulder. What is the reason for this? Is there a law excuse for why she has two shoulder pads and everyone else has one? I have no idea. Also, it's very, very clearly a different shape. Is it a different shape? It's very much a different shape. So the Firefly one here has more rounded sides and is wider, whereas Roberta's is almost parallel. The two sides are almost straight lines and parallel, and it's much narrower overall. And then this one, I think it's the same shape, it's just smaller. It does have parallel sides again. But this version of Roberta is scaled down compared to this one. Kind of see the difference in their stature. Hero scale, true scale, essentially. Alright, blue is done. Let's move on to the red. We've done 2 colours already and we're only an hour in. Almost exactly an hour in. So, which way around did I do? Where's my test model? There he is. Alright. That looks very dark in comparison to the first one for some reason. I guess that is fairly dark. Probably didn't have him clicked in properly. Did my Sasori Firefly have the shoulder pad? Because I feel like I must have done, but I don't remember doing it. Did I just forget, or did I not put the oh, that casting on that one's not ideal. Cover that with the red, I think. Sorry, that song was just annoying me a bit. Whoa, wow, okay. That's too much water. That's going to take a bit of cleaning up when I come to do the white. Do you know how well red covers over, how white covers over red? Did you answer not well? I keep considering getting some titanium white. I think we may have mentioned this in the last stream. Like a proper artist's tube of titanium white that will last me forever. I don't actually use pure white all that much. Oh, I am so making a mess of this. See, this is something I've noticed about batch painting, or about how I batch paint. If I'm painting a single model, I'm spending not a lot of time on each step, which means that whenever I'm painting, I'm at the I'm only a few minutes into any given step because each step only takes a few minutes. Whereas when I'm batch painting, that step becomes 10, 20, 30 times. I think I've got 22 models here. It becomes 22 times longer, and so it therefore drags 22 times as long. I almost completely covered that white band in red, unfortunately. And when I'm first starting on a step, I am actively thinking about it much more than when I'm 10 minutes in, when I'm 30 minutes in to that same step. Because after a little while you figure out how it's supposed to be done and you just kind of get it done. But because I'm not actively thinking about it, I end up getting very messy. Because I'm just like, yep, I know how to do this. Splatter red right there, right there, right there. Done, done, done. Yuli says titanium white from any professional paint supplier, Winsor & Newton, Liquitech, etc., or from Pro Acryl has amazing coverage. Yeah, I'm thinking Liquitech. I've got some Winsor & Newton, absolutely love them, but I have a supplier of Liquitech in nearby, so that's definitely an option. It's one of those annoying things, though. I think I may have mentioned this on the stream where we talked about this before. I know I would use it. I absolutely know that if I bought a tube of titanium white, I would absolutely use it. I'd absolutely love it. It would be part of every paint job that ever included white for the rest of my life. The chances of me actually running out of a tube that size, like, it might happen eventually, but at that point it's well worth the price. But I've already got 3 bottles of white, and they're nowhere near as good. They are bad, but I've got them, and I want to use up what I've got before I buy more, because I have that mentality. And yeah, should probably just buy the Liquitech. Ah, excuse me. Nearly there. Just a couple more of the reds to go. And that I knew that was coming. I knew that was coming. This track just has like 2 minutes of dead air at the end of it. I don't know why. I think I'm maybe just a corrupted file. I need to work out what track it was that people were complaining about in my videos. Like I said, I'm just getting messier and messier as we go along. But we're nearly at the end. Alright. Concentrate on the last ones. Make up for the messy ones by having a few neat ones. And that's it. Last one. Roberta Wells. Andre Vanderville's Fair Use Library, my favourite band. Yeah, absolutely. Who have I got on today? I've got... I put 3 of my folders in. So it will be... Nefex. I really like Nefex. Ethan Mikesill and Dan Hennig. I use a lot of their tracks. I do like most of them. That shoulder pad is quite distinctly green. Did I get the both shoulder pads on the other Roberta? I did not. Or I did, but they're in that... Yeah. I think I may have accidentally mixed something with my red on the wet palette, because a couple of those came out very dark for some reason. Paint absolutely just refusing to come off the brush there. Okay, the white then. So the white that I'm using at the moment is actually a Citadel one. Yuli says, I regrouped in hell and I'm back for a bit. There's something satisfying about squad painting. It's like eating your vegetables. I like vegetables. I like vegetables. Right, let's see how we get along with this. Let's try it upside down. So we need to do the small stripe at the bottom and then the bigger section at the top. Not ideal. That's better. Yeah, kind of 50% happy with that. But that's one of the reverters, so I don't mind, because I'm coming back to the 2 reverters and probably the sheepskin officer as well. Get everyone else done, get them out of the way. And then, can you... What is it with my brush today? It's the second time that's happened. And again, look at that. Paint is just not coming off of the brush. I've got that paint thinned way too much. So it's not thinning. That's the problem. Yeah, look at that. That is so wet. And it's not coming off the brush. That's weird. I mean, the paint looks like paint. It's behaving like paint most of the time. It's just then, for some reason, deciding that it doesn't want to come off the brush. Yeah, I think going for that kind of... It's not really stippling, is it? It's a really splotchy stippling. Splotch stippling, the new technique from... wherever. If you have some really nasty paint that's just not playing along, just stipple it. That needs to go in my t-shirt ideas folder. Just stipple it. Yeah, look how much paint is on my brush. Absolutely loads. Look at how much is being deposited on the model. Like, nothing. What's going on? Yeah, and then any more water and it's flooded. Yuli says, depending on how long my painting session is, usually use 2 or 3 brushes to keep the point sharp. It's not, I don't think it's the point being sharp that's the problem. Maybe it is? Yeah, see, now I've got this thin so much that it's just... Alright. Put this one aside, because that was a mess. I would happily say that this was just a problem with bad white paint, but we had this exact thing happen with the red. Just at the end of the red, we had it happen. So it's not a paint issue. It's not a dilution issue because I've pushed that way too thin, and it was still doing it all the way up to the point where it flooded the model. Yeah, just look at that. Let's change brush. Let's change brush and see if that helps. Not quite as sharp. Kind of a bit frayed as well, actually. And there's that one hair that's spiraling around for some reason. Pretty sure that hair was there when I got this brush. That one bristle out of place. Oh, that's not a good sign. That just feels like it's way too thin now. Well, paint is now flowing correctly off of this brush. Unfortunately, the tip of this brush is not the right shape. I think once I do the green around the edge of that one, it will be acceptable. Not ideal. Yeah, I've gone from the paint misbehaving to now the brush misbehaving. Ah, Yudi says, on your earlier point, someone on Reddit posted their mystery box, so hopefully you and your friends will receive yours soon. Absolutely, yeah. From what I understand, the further away you are from Warlord Games, the earlier they ship. and that's so that people get them roughly at the same time. But it means that if you're far away and you just get lucky in the courier gods smile upon you, then you do just get it way early. Whereas if you are like me and live in England, they'll probably post it out like a day or two before. Which is fine. It's not like I'm a professional YouTuber getting stuff way early so I can do videos on it. Yeah, see, now they're starting to come out how I want them to. But I am making a mess of the edge of the armor panel. Which, as long as I keep it on the part that I haven't painted yet, which is the edge, then that's fine. Because I need to paint the green, the highlight around the green edge. But if I go over the red or the blue, then that means I have to go back and repaint those colors. Was that in the Konflikt second, Konflikt V2 Reddit? I want to go and have a look at that. Interesting that they've included. So I found the post, and it looks like they've got an Axis force, and there is no Stormtrooper in there, which is interesting. But there is a Vogelspinner. That's good news for me, because I was gonna say, if I got the Axis, I don't know what I'd do with the Stormtrooper because I've got so many, but I do want a second Vogelspinner. So what else is it? Hanomag, Nachtalben. Is that the old Nachtalben? Yeah, it looks like the old Nachtalben. Panther X with a railgun. What's going on? Come on. Just pretend that you have a point for a minute, please. Wiped all the paint off. Too slow. Earned it. Yuli says, on the flip side, nobody I know in the US has gotten their June plastic releases. Seems like half the UK has theirs. Ooh, is that the automatons? The Brit automatons. Is that? A hair from the middle of this brush just abandoned all its friends. I'm getting there. Just about managing it. Automatons and Ursus, yes. I'm not actually that fussed about the Ursus. With the automatons, I want to get the box deal, because that comes with the controller, 2 Mark IIs and 10 Mark Is, plus the Mark Is that I already have. Yuli says, imagine getting the American mystery box of fireflies and linebackers. I would follow FDR into the rift. Yeah, probably. Or just chuck the box into the rift. I think that is quite interesting that there is no Star Trooper in that box from that particular, that one that's on Reddit. Oh man. Absolutely made a mess of that. I'm going to have to check over these for reds, because I may have to redo some red. I love this guy. He's got a machine gun, but he's going to stab you. Did the BAR ever have bayonet capabilities? Like, from the factory, I mean. Because I know the Japanese light machine gun did. Was it the Type 99? Oh, yuck. Makes sense. Feel like everyone has them. Yeah. it's kind of good that Warlord would not. Oddly, even though they're kind of the big kit, it's nice that they would not include them in the mystery box, because you kind of expect them to be there. But everyone's, like you say, everyone already has them. I certainly do. It actually makes me a bit more hopeful. Because I was kind of 50-50. Oh man, that's rubbish. That's nasty. Andre says, is my Necromunda board available on Tabletop Simulator? Not publicly, but if I invite you to a game with it, then you can see it. It has so many different things from so many different places that it would take a long time to load. Like that bolt action game we played was relatively small in terms of the amount of stuff that was in the game. Like the amount of stuff that the game needs to load to play it was fairly small. But that Necromunda set is so much more. But it's also something that we built over time by adding bits of different sets. So it's not just one thing that you can subscribe to on the workshop and have. Think if I start, Yuli says, think if I would start the Axis, would get the Defenders of Stuttgart. Which one's the Stuttgart set? Actually, oh yeah, I don't know that one off the top of my head. Wow, yeah, I'm just getting worse and worse on these. Just open Instagram. Someone else got their Plastic Mark II kit. JFC. I don't know what JFC is. This is Stuttgart set is Stahltruppen, Rail Panther, and 3 Spider Walkers. Ooh. Yeah, the Vogelspinner is very powerful just by itself. Like, give it the Maschinengewehr. Not sure on pronunciation of that one. You chuck out a 3-inch blast template, and you get to roll to hit every single model under that template twice. And I think it's like a pen 2 or pen 3 as well, so that's brutal. And that's just the Vogelspinner. Going up to the bigger gun, the Schwerkanone, it's a monster. It really is. Andre says, how many points would the Band of Brothers or similar army be? Good question. Off the top of my head, I don't know. We can have a quick look. It's 12 infantry and a half-track. Regular half-track with just the one machine gun is 93 points. I think the sprue gives you bazooka team. So that's 2 models and gives you, I think a bazooka team is 60 points. This guy still hasn't stuck to his base. What's going on? I'm just going to super glue if you keep playing this game. And I've absolutely ruined his shoulder pad as well. Great, and it's the last one, so I can't even wait for him to dry. Why is this guy not sticking? Because that is a... Oh, wow. Can you see that, like, lip of grey plastic? I've pressed these parts together so hard with the cement there that it's squeezed all the plastic together and it still won't stick. What's going on? What's happening today? I've got a brush that won't release paint. I've got models that just won't stick together even though I'm smushing the plastic around that much. That's crazy. I mean, it's kind of holding, it just doesn't feel very strong. Where were we? Yes, we were doing Andre's points for the Battle of the Band of Brothers set. I can't remember which sprue, specifically which sprue is in that set. Because I know there's... I'm pretty sure there's a bazooka team on that sprue, right? So it's these guys. No, that's the introductory set. Hang on. Band of Brothers. Oh no, these are the Rangers. So these are the Ranger sprue. What the fuck? I'm trying to show you these pictures and it's just freezing up for some reason. Right. Go to the description. US Airborne D-Day, so not Rangers. Here we go. Right, the sprue. So, sniper, bazooka, lots of rifles and submachine guns and BARs. And that is not a flamethrower, that's a flare projector or homing signal thing for the airborne troops. And that is a 1919, so that's a light machine gun. So you can actually make... So you could turn that into a medium machine gun team. So if you wanted to go for the weapons teams, it would be sniper, bazooka, and a medium machine gun team with the 1919 Browning. Or you could pick one of those and go for an infantry squad. So 10 veteran infantry, 130 points. I think it's 1 point for the airborne, so 14 points a model. Plus a couple submachine guns, plus a few BARs. You can push that to probably 160 points. Plus the bazooka and the half track, you're looking at 200 and something, sort of. And then for the Germans, you're probably somewhere similar. Which, I think it's the German Grenadiers on that, wasn't it? Description. So US Airborne D-Day and German Grenadiers. So yeah, it's the Grenadiers. It is this sprue. So we have light machine gun. Again. Why does it keep doing this? It doesn't do that, and yet here it is doing it over and over again. Panzerfaust, light machine gun, rifles and submachine guns. I don't see any support weapons. I don't see any support weapons. Rifle. Not sure how well you can see this. Rifle, submachine gun. Rifle. Light machine gun. Assault rifles. Rifle. Light machine gun. Yeah, so you don't get nearly as many support weapons on the German set, which means that the German set is meant to be veteran infantry. You can still make a medium machine gun team with the MG42. Build up some rubble or some sandbags and have them pointing out that gun on a 60mm base. That would be fine. That means that the Germans would be 90 points for the vehicle, 130 plus some weapons. Yeah, you're probably looking at 200, 250 points for both sides. It's that kind of amount from that set. But you can build them up in some slightly different ways. What are we? We're actually getting quite close to 9 o'clock now. So I probably don't want to get stuck into another paint color. We did 4 colors in a batch today, which is more than we usually get through on this. But it's because they are the very small bits. The flags, the shoulder pads were actually 3 colors: blue, red, white, and blue. What I will do is I'll go through them all, and I'm just going to check to see if there's anything that we can fix. I don't mind any mess around the edge, because the edge is going to be highlighted with green. But if there's any red on the white or white on the blue or anything like that one's awful. Roberts has 2. Yeah. I don't care. I don't mind the Robertas so much, because I will be coming back to those. I keep saying that. I'm probably not going to come back to those. No, I will. Yeah, it looks like they're not as bad as I had feared. Either that, or I'm just reaching through the good ones. That one could use a bit. Oh yeah, with the green that'll be fine. Yeah. 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 That one. So I've got 3 so far. And 4. Right. I'll fix the 4 shoulder pads on these ones, and then we shall call the stream. How do I even fix this one? So as usual, if anyone has any questions, any comments, any suggestions, ask away, and I will see if I can answer them before the end of the stream. I do have several possible videos. I've got quite a lot under production at the moment. I just need to pick one and focus on it. Really. Yuli asks, what's next week's video going to be on? Already asked that. So next week's video, though, like I said, there are quite a few that it could be. It's just I need to pick one and get on with it. The most likely one, because I've just done a model painting building video in the S for Shibito, the Shibito zombie robot. I want to do I want to kind of alternate between a discussion video, and then a hobby video, and then a discussion video, and then a hobby video. That's the plan. Whether it works or not is completely another question, but that's the plan. So I'm going to try and have a discussion video. I have already done for Konflikt 47 how to use officers, how to the mundane infantry, and then there is a third set that's very much related to them, some different units. They are mundanes, but I kind of skipped over them in the mundane section, and they're also not officers, but it's basically everything else in the HQ category, and I'm discussing those and kind of what they're good for, if they are good for much. Andre asks, how many more steps for these models? Good question. I can actually check because I've got the... Where is he? No. Oh, I mixed him in. Where is he? Where is he? Where is he? Ah, there we go. Found him. So this guy's done. This was the one that we that I just painted all the steps on this one. So I can compare that with the others to see how far behind everyone else is. Oh man. Yeah, I think this one's one of the officers, so this one's gonna take some cleanup, I think. But because it's one of the officers, I'm gonna do that cleanup on just those, so I can concentrate on that. All right. So here is an example model. On the left is how far we've got with the whole squad, and on the right is the one that we rushed ahead on and finished. So we've got the shoulder pads, we've got the metalwork all done. We need to do the green of the uniform is the biggest step, especially because of the technique I used was actually a relatively slow technique in comparison to the other steps on this model. It's also a larger area, so the green's going to be the biggest step. And then there's the webbing, the tan, the knee pads, the webbing, the straps. They've all got kind of a stippled highlight that I've done on here, so that all needs to be done. That's not a terribly big step, but again, we've got 22 models to get through, so that's a fair amount. And then the brown, the dark brown for the leather. So if you see the boots, even just on the boots, the overall tone of this is quite a bit lighter than that, and that's just because of the highlighting done there. I don't want to spend a great deal of time on the highlights. I just want to pick out the fingers in the gloves, pick out the nose and the bridge of the gas mask, and just neaten up the boots. This is not too bad, but I noticed a couple of them today have like splotches of the wash on the boots, which doesn't look great, so I need to clean that up. So I think that's the most of it. Yeah. So brown's the quickest step, so we'll probably start with that next week. Then the tan, which is probably a little bit longer but not terribly long, and then the really long step, which is the green, which we probably won't get done next week. So at least 2 more Firefly streams. So yeah, brown for the boots and gloves, tan for all the webbing and knee pads, and then green on the uniform. Yuli says, productive paint session, well done. May the mystery box forces be ever in your favor. Yes, that would be lovely. If I get, because I'm currently holding off on buying a few things just in case they're in my mystery box, because I don't want to buy them and then get more of them in the mystery box, right? So If I get some automaton, especially B for Bertie and the controller, Mark II controller, I'll be dead happy. If I get Vogelspinner, if I get the Japanese ghosts and the new command, the new officer character for the ghosts, I'll be major happy about that. And basically anything for the Soviets. I'm not particularly interested in the Ursus, but it will come with Ursus, and I won't complain because I currently don't have any. So anything for the Soviets. Most of the stuff for most of the other nations. I just don't want Stormtrooper and Fireflies. That's it. Yeah. From what I've seen of the one example that we saw on Reddit, I'm pretty sure I'm going to get a few things that I like. Alright then, so with a relatively successful painting stream completed, we've got a whole bunch of models well on the way. Like, they're at the point where you could put these on the tabletop and no one would really mind. Like, no one would turn their nose up at these, even though the uniform's not as well highlighted as I would like them to be. The base coat wash does a lot more work. Do some color separation, like with the belts and stuff, to make the parts of the model look distinct. Give it a wash. That looks surprisingly nicer than it really deserves to be. But let's call the stream there. Thank you very much to everyone for popping past. Yeah, it's just past 9 o'clock, so we can finish on time-ish today. Yeah, so next week's video, probably the commands, the HQ options that aren't the officer, and then next week's stream will be on Monday like normal. So, I'm ED-SKaR, always will be. Thank you very much for watching.